Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. This morning we depart the Pacific Northwest from the glowing lights of Seattle bound for Portland. No rush, no sensory overload, just a full calming checklist loaded journey in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024, exactly the way it is supposed to be enjoyed. These videos do take a lot of time to record plus edit, and this channel is totally unsponsored and non-monetized, so your support in terms of likes and subscriptions on this channel mean the absolute world to me. So thank you for helping me out with those couple of clicks if you just did that. We are going to be taking our beloved turbocharged Bonanza for a spin today. Watch the atmosphere shift in the fully add-on loaded sim. This is aviation in the purest form, and these are the kind of flights that make me truly realize how far we have come in flight simming. So sit back, relax, grab a coffee, lunch or dinner, and let the cockpit sounds take over. Enjoy the experience as it unfolds. Alright, so here we are in the Bonanza cockpit, looking absolutely stunning with that grey and black interior. I love this interior. Anyway, let's start with our flight for today. We are flying from Seattle to PDX like I mentioned. The block fuel that we are going to need today is 266 pounds, so we'll carry a little bit extra there, and our cruising altitude today is going to be 11,000 feet. So let's pull up our tablet here and let's make sure that we are all logged in and loaded correctly. So we have a total fuel currently of 391. I would say let's just empty out the tip tanks and let's go for more fuel in our base tanks. So we have roughly 361 pounds of fuel on board, which is great. We have roughly 100 lb more than what we need, which is perfect for today. And we can start running through our checklist. Let me know what you prefer from next video onwards, but for this video I'm going to leave my checklist on my iPad, so you guys will not see it on the screen. I just want you to enjoy the raw simulator as is. But okay, so let's start with our before engine start checklist. So pre-flight inspection, we'll assume that's complete. Control locks, we can remove them. Seat belts and seats all fastened. Cabin doors are latched, I already checked that. Latched and locked. Parking brakes are set. Emergency gear handle is stored, that's down there. Avionics breakers all in. All the breakers are in. Flaps are up. Yes, flaps are up. Oxygen pressure 1550 to 1850. That's somewhere down here, so we can give that a quick check. Right there. That's in the green. Avionics switch is off, so that's good. Throttle is closed, confirmed on my hardware as well. Propeller is set to high RPM and mixture is set to full rich. Cowl flaps open, so we'll go ahead and open cowl flaps here. Aileron trim is centered. Let's go ahead and center our aileron trim here. There you go, that's centered. Alternate air is off. Yes, let me hide the yoke for a bit. Alternate air is off. Firewall valve is pushed in. Landing gear is down, and my hardware shows that it's down as well, so that's good. All sub panel switches are off. I do not see anything on here, so that's good. Load meter is set to primary. Main breakers are all in right here. All of them are in. Alternate static air is good as well. I believe that's this one. CO detector test right here. Looks good. Fuel selector is set to the fullest tank. That's good as well. Beacon lights on. Go ahead and turn on beacon lights here. Battery master goes on. Bus voltage is verified 23 volts. Looks good. Annunciators test. Make sure all the annunciators, all the lights are working. Looks good. Everything is working as expected. Primary alternator to on and standby alternator to on. Fuel quantities check and verified. We have 30 gallons both sides. Auxiliary fuel pump to low and verify that it's working. You see that it is, so that's good. Auxiliary fuel pump to off, and then we'll also confirm standby gyro pump is working. You see the standby light show up, and we also hear the pump, and you see the attitude indicator come alive, so that's working. and looking good. Instrument air is, make sure that looks good as well. There you go. Instrument air is in the green as well, so that's all checked, and that concludes our before engine start checklist. Now let's start with the engine start checklist. We'll be following the cold engine start checklist today. So mixture is full rich, prop is high RPM, throttle can go to fully open, and then we will turn on the auxiliary pump, fuel pump, to high for maybe like 2 or 3 seconds, and watch for the fuel flow to go above 3 gallons per hour. So let's do that. Yes, the fuel flow is above 5, so we are good. We leave it on for 3 seconds and turn it off. You don't want to flood the engine too much. Next thing you would do is get the throttle down to maybe like 1/2 inch right there, and we'll engage the starter. Press the brakes. In real world, I've seen that sometimes even though parking brake is on, the airplane can start moving, so it's always safe to just press the brakes in, and I've seen that happen on my 172 as well. Okay, starter to start, and there we go. The engine has started. After engine start, we would push the throttle up just so that our RPM is right around that 1000 to 1100 mark, and then we would go through the after start checklist now. Alright, let's run through the after start checklist. The throttle is at 1000 to 1200, so that's good. Oil pressure is right here, that's in green, so we're good there. Annunciators are all extinguished, so that's all good. Alternator load is below 25 amps, so that is good as well. Bus voltage is 28 volts. You can see here that the bus voltage is indeed 28 volts. That's good. Engine instruments check. We are seeing that the oil pressure is good. Oil temperature will slowly come up. Everything else looks healthy to me. Next thing would be lights as required. We'll just turn on the panel lights so that everything looks a little bit more pretty. And the next thing you would do is just turn the weather radar either to standby or off. And next thing would be to turn the avionics master on. Cabin air and heat as desired. So let me quickly go ahead and check our cabin temperatures. So we have roughly 6 degrees, 7 degrees cabin, so that's pretty cold. So we'll assume that we were wearing jackets, but then we will also pull the cabin heat just a tad bit so that the air starts flowing. Now another thing you will see is that the cabin temperature system is all very well modeled. So this knob right here controls how much air is being pulled through these valves or whatever you call it. And then you have also the aft cabin, which if you pull that one, you will see that this valve opens up and you will see the air flowing into the cabin. So you will see that we were at 6-7 degrees. Now we are slowly warming up to 8 degrees. Definitely don't need the AC today, so we'll leave that off. Looks good. Cabin is warming up just fine from the engine heat that's coming in. And the next thing we would do is just get our clearances. Before that, let's finish after start checklist. Air conditioning as desired, and we will lean the mixture just a little bit so that we don't foul our spark plugs, and also the CHTs start coming up slowly.
Seattle Tacoma International Airport, information Kilo 0353 Zulu. Arriving runways 16 center, 16 right. Departing runway 16 left.
Okay, so we are ready to get our IFR clearance from SEA. Usually in Europe, I've heard that you need to ask for startup clearance, but in US, at least from what I know, you can start your engines and then you can deal with the clearance and taxi clearance and stuff like that. But let me know if you know otherwise. This is just the information that I have. Seattle clearance Bonanza 804 Delta Delta requesting IFR to PDX as filed with information Kilo.
Clearance on request, you're number 1. Bonanza 4 Delta Delta cleared to Portland, radar vectors Buzo, then is filed, climb and maintain 6000, expect 10,010 minutes after departure. Departure on 119.2, squawk 6447, expect runway 16 left.
Clear to Portland, radar vectors to Buzo, then as filed. Climb and maintain 6000. Expect 11,010 minutes after departure. Departure frequency on 119.2. Squawk 6447 and expect 16 left for departure for Bonanza 804 Delta Delta.
Bonanza 4 Delta Delta, read back correct. Ground is on 121.7, safe flight, sir.
121.7 for 804 Delta Delta. Thank you. So that's our little IFR clearance, and I have tuned in the departure frequency because sometimes it just doesn't switch to departure correctly. Our squawk today is going to be 6447, and we'll enter that here. For now we can leave it to standby. Our departure runway is going to be 16 left, and we will also set up our initial altitude here, which is going to be 6,000 feet. So I'm going to go ahead and set up 6,000 feet on our autopilot panel here, and I'll show you how to use this autopilot as well. It's pretty neat. So let's go back to our TDS GTNXi, and I'm going to leave my flight plan open here. So like he said, the first waypoint is going to be Buzo, so we're going to put that in anyway because it's nice to have it on here. So after Buzo we're going to go SEA, I believe, and then we'll see if that doesn't line up. So SEA, and then the next waypoint, we don't really have a waypoint. That's an arrival into PDX. So what we'll do is we'll just put in PDX here. That's PDX, and then I guess we'll see how it goes and what arrival we get as we get closer to PDX. But now that we have the full flight plan in, I would go back and go to the map and zoom out just to see where our first waypoint is. So that's Buzo, and then we have, I guess we don't really need SEA at all. Okay, so that means I can literally go to flight plan here and click on this and remove. Okay, so we just have one waypoint here, and that should clean up our flight plan. There you go, Buzo, and then direct to PDX, and 16 left. So I'm expecting that we'll get Alpha Yankee Bravo 16 left. I'll get rid of my EFB here because the flight planning is done, and on this one I will go to the flight plan view so that we know what we're doing. Our altimeter is set correctly, and I'm also going to go ahead and set this altimeter correct as well. Okay, so the next checklist is going to basically be a run-up check. So I'm going to just ask for our taxi clearance, and we'll do our run-up checks somewhere around the runway. So let's go ahead and tune into ground and ask for taxi clearance. We already know what it's going to be roughly, and that's what I really like to do most of the times, is just plan out our taxi beforehand before we even call in to the controller, so that I know what to read back already. Anyway, let's go ahead and do that real quick. Seattle ground, Bonanza 804 Delta Delta, requesting taxi to 16 left, IFR.
Bonanza 4 Delta Delta, runway 16 left, taxi via Alpha Bravo Charlie.
Runway 16 left via Alpha Bravo and then Charlie for Bonanza 804 Delta Delta. Okay, so as expected, Alpha, and then we'll take a left here, and then Charlie is basically this holding point right here. So if you can remember, a couple of items that were still remaining in terms of our checks. Another thing I'm seeing is that our cabin temps is coming up. We are up to 20 degrees now, so I closed in the cabin heat on both forward and aft a little bit. It's amazing how much detail there is in this airplane. We'll also turn on the floodlights and nav lights, and let's do a quick brakes check. Get the parking brakes out. I think that should be enough juice to get the airplane going. There we go. And brakes are working correctly, so we can go ahead and taxi to our active runway. I'm going to take a right because I do see that there is an airliner right on my left. So we'll take a nice steep right turn here and get going. Just making sure that I'm leaned out enough just so that we are not messing with our spark plugs. Check left, nobody. Check right, everything's good. Look at that. We are going to be a nice little airplane in between all of these huge ones taking off and landing. There's a Hawaiian, I believe 787, and we have a 737 right next to us. Beautiful. Note that this is the turbocharged version of our Bonanza, so it will have quite a bit of power as we take off. The benefit that turbocharged engines provide is basically you will be able to maintain the high manifold pressures up to higher altitudes, which means more speed, more power. It's going to be a fun flight. Tower on 119.9 for Bonanza 4 Delta Delta. Alright, so we are here at the Charlie holding point, and I'm gonna stay out of the way of all these airliners that are taking off ahead of us while I do my run-up checks. Now, run-up checks on this airplane, it's quite comprehensive actually, so we'll go through all of it except the autopilot checks, because we know autopilot will mostly be working just fine. And I have hidden the yoke as well for now because we'll need access to all of these switches quite frequently. Anyway, so let's start. First thing, parking brakes are set. Annunciators, again, check them. All the lights look good, so we're good. Remote compass is slave and aligned. Looks good, everything is matching. Mixture is full rich. You're gonna turn the mixture to full rich and throttle to 1700 RPM. Again, still keeping my feet on the brakes. Hope you guys can hear that turbocharger spooling up. That's just so cool. I love those sounds. Boris has done the sounds, by the way, so obviously they're awesome. Exercise the propeller to 300 RPM drop, so let's go ahead and do that real quick. That's gonna be 1400 RPM for us. So that's it, 1400 RPM, looks stable. Going back to 1700. Check magnetos. Let's go ahead and check those. Right magneto, 100 RPM drop, so we're good. It's less than 150. Left is somewhere around 50 RPM drop, so we're good there as well. And back to both. Instrument air is green, so we don't need the standby gyro pump because we are basically there's the engine driven pump which is operating the gyro right now. Alright, so primary alternator off. Let's turn that off. The light comes up. Load meter, change that to secondary so that we can read the load there. Alternator load increased. Yes, it did. Standby alternator annunciator is illuminated. Yes, it is. And now we'll turn off the standby altimeter as well. Alternator load goes to 0. Load meter to primary. Primary alternator on and standby alternator on. Alternator load is back to 25 or above, so we are good there. Prop heat, get that in. Prop amps are coming up. We can turn it off, we don't need it. Prop heat off, and then we can bring the throttle back down to 1000 RPM. So I'm going to completely shut up while we take off because I want you guys to hear the turbo sounds. It's amazing. And I'll also not plug in my headphones until we start climbing. Alright, next steps, electric trim exercise. We're able to exercise it and everything looks good. Autopilot test, like I said, we're going to skip the autopilot test. Maybe I can do it real quick. I can show it to you guys how to do it. So what you do is basically set your heading bug to around 30 degrees maybe. Let's say we set it to south here, and then you would turn the heading mode on. Again, set it to south, somewhere around 30 degrees off. Then you turn the autopilot on and you make sure that the yoke is actually moving, which verifies that the autopilot is working. Now our runway heading is going to be south, so I'm going to tune my heading bug to south anyway. And we'll have the comms handled by our nice co-pilot here. I think I have Oz Flight Simmer, or no, actually I have the bro guy as the co-pilot. Alright, so autopilot is checked. There's a lot of other things that you can check in the autopilot, like different modes, but we're not going to do that. Elevator trim is set for takeoff, set to 0. Flaps check operation. Let's quickly go ahead and check whether flaps are operational. Okay, flaps are looking good. We don't really need to use flaps for this takeoff because the airplane has a lot of power. You'll see how quickly we get off the ground. Altimeter is set, departure altitude is also set, controls free and correct. Let's quickly verify that. Full left, full right, full up, full down. Okay, takeoff heading is also set. Panel lights dim for takeoff, landing lights on. Let's just turn off the floodlights and we'll turn on the strobe lights. Parking brakes release before takeoff. Mixture max power, oil temperature 24C minimum. We have that looks good. Auxiliary fuel pump is off, air conditioning is off, transponder is set to alt mode, and we will turn on the weather radar. Now takeoff briefing. Throttle will be fully open, brakes release, engine instruments check, no runway remaining. If there is no runway remaining, we'll get the gear up, otherwise we'll leave the gear down in case we have to land on the runway. Another thing is if the engine fails, by the way, all the failures are simulated and active right now. So if the engine fails below 800 feet, then we are going to find a place to land in front of us, plus 30 or minus 30 degrees ahead of us. If the engine fails above 800 feet, then we are going to come back on the runway, declare an emergency, and come back on the runway and land. And that is because below 800 feet, if you try to come back to the runway, you're most definitely going to just spin and crash on this kind of an airplane. So takeoff briefing is done. The max continuous power that we'll be using is 2700 RPM, which is throttle fully open, mixture full rich, and prop full. We'll talk about climb. I guess let's brief the climb as well. For climb, we will be, as we hit 1000 feet, we'll be reducing our propeller RPM to 2500. Throttle will still be fully open. Our VY today is going to be 96 knots, so that's the best rate of climb speed. So we'll try to maintain that, stay somewhere around that, but I will not promise you the best control there. And we'll monitor the engine performance as we climb. Oxygen will not be needed for today's flight because we're not going above 12,000 feet. Everything else looks good, and the next checklist is going to be our cruise checklist. So let's go ahead and I'll let you guys enjoy the whole takeoff, climb, and everything. And let me also hand over the comms to our co-pilot. Hey co-pilot, can you take over the comms please?
Yo bro, I'll take over the comms for you.
There's a bro taking over the comms for us, and we can go ahead and request takeoff, and then he'll take over the comms for the rest of the flight, or at least until we hit our top of descent. Seattle Tower, this is Bonanza 804 Delta Delta, holding at Charlie, requesting departure. Make sure our lights are good. Yep, taxi lights can come off.
Runway 16 left, hold short. You're number one behind the Embraer 170.
Behind the Embraer 170. Oh, I don't see an Embraer, but let's go ahead and hold short.
Fly runway heading, cleared for takeoff.
Right, so we just got our takeoff clearance.
Cleared for takeoff. Fly runway heading, Bonanza
Just gonna wait for our bro to get the read back done, and then we can enter the runway. I am getting a little bit of stuttery experience today because I'm trying a couple of things on my sim, so I apologize if that is hindering your viewing experience. I'm just trying a couple of new settings in my NVIDIA app, so it's a little bit messed up. Anyway, alright, so we are good to go here. Let's make sure that we exactly get our runway heading right, and let's go. I'm gonna shut up now so that you can hear the turbo spool up. get our headphones on so that we are not.
Switching to departure on 119.2, Bonanza 804 Delta Delta.
It's still going good. Switching to departure now. It's good to have co-pilot handle the comms while you fly the airplane, because I really like to focus just hand flying the airplane.
804 Delta Delta. Good morning.
Putting in some right rudder as it is in real world as well. You need to keep pushing the right rudder.
Bonanza 804 Delta
So the
Delta,
P factor.
Seattle departure, radar contact, climb and maintain 6,000, turn right heading 165, vectors to Buzo, then on course.
Okay, right heading 165. I think we are pretty much on 165, so we don't really need to turn. Still doing good on
6,000, right heading 165, vectors to Buzo, then on course.
we're at 5,000, so need to remember that we will have to stabilize at 6,000. There's 100 knots.
Bonanza 4 Delta Delta, climb and maintain 11,000.
Now we need to go ahead and get our RPM down to 2,500.
Climb and maintain 1,000, Bonanza 804 Delta Delta.
Okay, now they cleared us to 1,000. Go ahead and tune in 1,000. I love flying this airplane, and look at the sim. Sim is looking amazing as well. What I really should have done is recorded the whole takeoff with my sky dolly. That would have been fun to watch. Again, still trying to maintain that 95, roughly 95 knots. I did drift on my heading a little bit, so I'm just trying to correct that. This is such a beautiful airplane. I love flying this airplane. Does it feel close to real life? I think so, for the most part. But then again, in real life, you'll just be feeling so many forces and stuff on these small airplanes that you know, it's really hard to mimic real life feel in the simulator while you're just, you know, sitting. Okay, so let's see. So we're getting roughly 1,500 feet per minute. So I'm gonna plan for 1,500, get the autopilot on, and also let it do my heading. So autopilot is on now. We'll monitor speed. I think we can do a little bit more here, maybe around 2,000. Let's make sure the engine instruments are still good. Props can go up to like 2,500. We don't need to go to 24, so we'll push that just a tad bit up. Speed is still good, so we can go 2,000. I'm just trying to keep around that 195 knots mark. Look at that, guys. That looks stunning. This is a beautiful airplane. This is an amazing airplane. This is what Microsoft Flight Sim is really made for. It is made for these kind of general aviation airplanes, in my opinion. I love flying these small GA airplanes. It's amazing. Right, we're coming up on 11,000, so it's reducing our climb rate, and we're going to trim out at 11,000. We are set here at 11,000, stabilized, almost good to go. Our speed is somewhere around 190. I think we're good. We can run our cruise checklist now. Cruise checklist. Cowl flaps closed. Landing lights off. Pitot heat on if outside air temperature is less than less than, what is it, 4 degrees Celsius. Let's quickly go ahead and check. It's -4. So let's just to be safe, let's turn on, because there is some moisture in the head
Expect
of
the Helen
us.
6 arrival. C transition. Descent coming up in about 15 minutes. Say the word if you want to descend sooner.
Anyway, let's go ahead with our cruise checklist. Pitot heat, good. Prop heat as required. We do not need prop heat. Actually, you know what? Since it's -4, let's go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and turn it on. Fuel imbalance, 15 gallons max. Let's see. We don't have a lot of fuel imbalance right now, but we will have to remember to switch to the right tank, because we are on the left tank right now. This has a manual switch. Tip tank transfer as required. We do not have any fuel on tip tanks. Propeller is 2500, so we're good there. Throttle fully open. Let's go ahead and fully open throttle. I had reduced it just a little bit to get it under control. Cabin air and heat. Our cabin temps are 15C, which is right where I love it. Maybe we can make it a tad bit warm for our passengers who's, well, actually my wife today, and she doesn't like 15 degrees at all, so we're gonna make it a little bit warm for her in the back seat there. Okay, so one thing I would like to do early on is just plan for my arrival. So let's go ahead and do that. Since we know what the arrival is going to look like, we are going to click on PDX, load procedure. Our arrival is going to be Helen's 6, and SEA is going to be the transition. Obviously we can edit the edit the waypoints and stuff after we load everything in. Expecting ILS 10 left is going to be what we are expecting, and then we are going to also plan, let's see, so we load the arrival, and then we are also going to plan our approach. So let's go to the bottom here and say load procedure, load approach, and it's going to be ILS 10 left is what we have been told. Load approach, so that's good as well. So we'll just keep all of this loaded in, and then obviously we will not need the SEA waypoint here. Switch to the right tank so that we start using fuel from the right tank. There's another neat thing about this is you cannot really turn off the fuel because there is this notch right here, so you cannot move it to the off position, which is beautiful because you don't want to by mistake cut off fuel to the engine, because that'll be wild. Okay, so we have our descent coming up in just about 3 minutes here, and we're also facing some turbulence. I believe this is all mechanical turbulence because of, well, terrain turbulence. You cannot call it mechanical. I guess terrain related turbulence because winds are passing over these hills and hitting us, so there's a little bit of, turbulence caused because of that. I believe we'll see more of it when we are close to this hill right here. But turbulence is being presented to you by the one and only FSR Plus or FS Realistic Plus.
Bonanza 4 Delta Delta, descend via Helen 6 to 7000 feet transition for the ILS runway 10 left approach into Portland, altimeter 3026.
7,000. Let's go ahead and set 7,000 here, and they're going to expect somewhere around, like, let's say like 1,000 feet or something.
Helen 6 to 7,000 for the ILS runway 10 left approach into Portland. Altimeter 3026. Bonanza 804
So we
Delta
set
Delta.
V speed and set a V speed of maybe around 1000 feet per minute.
Bonanza 4 Delta Delta,
Start
contact
descending.
Portland approach on 118.1.
And we will probably be vectored really quickly, like before even hitting BTG, I think. Also remember to throttle down when you descend, because you will speed up. And we have a bunch of turbulence coming from that hill, like I said.
804 Delta Delta. Good morning, descending 1 in 1000.
Let's run through the descent checklist. Cowl flaps are closed, throttle is reduced. Mixture, we will enrich in the mixture just a tad bit. Actually, let's just go mixture full. Engine performance monitor, cylinder head temperatures need to be 116 minimum, so that's what we want our mixture to be controlled
Alaska
to.
376, contact Seattle Center on 124.2.
Our CHTs are somewhere around
for Alaska 376. Good day.
170, 160. So I think we're good, and they're coming down, but we'll keep a watch on that. So if the CHTs go too low, we need to make sure that we lean out the mixture so that the CHTs can again climb up. Okay, so we are at 2000 now and being vectored into the ILS. So I'm going to just keep a close watch on what Saint Tensions does to me, because I do feel like sometimes it just does its own thing and it's just really hard to then recover from it. And these are just
Bonanza 4 Delta Delta, proceed direct trail. Cleared for the ILS runway 10 left
okay,
approach.
so it put me on direct trail, which is exactly where we are going, so that's fine. I guess maybe I just turned in a little bit early. And we are below the glide slope as well, so that's going to be coming up. Approach is armed, glide slope is armed as well. So everything looks good. Our missed approach altitude today
Delta, wind 290 at 4, runway
is
10
going
left,
to
cleared to
be
land, caution bird activity.
bird activity. Okay, so our missed approach altitude today is going to be
Runway 10 left, cleared to
800 and
land.
then
Bonanza
4200.
804
Okay,
Delta
so I'm gonna
Delta.
set that up real quick. It's good to have that set up. 4200, a little bit of in doing so. No, I guess it's fine because Blazer was 2000, so yeah, I think it's doing well. Good. Let's run through our landing checklist. Prop high, mixture max, landing gear down and locked. We're gonna do that soon. Throttle can come down so that we can cut down on some speed. Visibility is absolutely terrible, not because of the actual visibility being low. Actual visibility is just fine, it's just that the sun is blasting right in front of us, which is not nice. Okay, so landing gear good, autopilot disconnect. We will do that as soon as we see the runway here.
Runway 10.
I guess I do
right.
see the runway.
Caution, caution.
There you go. Still good. Our landing speed is going to be somewhere around 60 knots.
2134, hold short of runway 21.
Okay, that's good. Good enough. Good enough. I don't need to slip any more. Flaps full. Landing gear is down. Okay, let's recover here and make sure that we nail this landing here. A little bit low, but no problem at all. Still trying to get used to this airplane, really.
Southwest 2319, wind 320 at 4, runway 10 right, cleared to land.
Alright. I think I'm way too fast today. I'm still learning the ropes on this airplane really. And a decent touchdown in the end. I was not worried about floating too much because
4 Delta Delta, welcome to Portland.
it
Contact
is
ground on 121.9er.
a long runway. Okay, over to ground. I think we can exit right here
Switching to
and then
ground on
run through our
121.9er.
after landing checklist.
Bonanza 80.
Okay, max braking right there. Because I do want to take this exit. There's an Alaska waiting right behind us.
Good morning, cleared of runway, ready to taxi to the gate.
Alright, so you're gonna hold right here. That's one thing that my instructors have taught me, is to not do your after landing checklist while you're taxiing, because that leads to a failure on your check ride. Okay, cowl flaps open, flaps up. Lights as required, so we'll not need the landing light, but we will turn on the taxi lights. Panel lights can go off as well. Strobe lights can go off as well, I guess, and nav lights are fine.
GA parking stand.
Okay, lights as required. Pitot heat off. Let's get that off. Air conditioning as desired, we don't need that, and cabin temperatures are doing just fine. Maybe we can pull a little bit. And that brings us into Portland. I have recently fallen in love with these black square airplanes. Let me know what you think about them in the comments below, and also if you like these kind of videos, please do leave a comment as well. I have a lot of information shared about my settings and stuff on my Discord channel, which will be linked down in the description. So feel free to hop on into our community, which is obviously filled with so many helpful developers, content creators, and flight simmers. Thanks for spending your time in the cockpit with me, and I will see you guys on the next one.
Empire Air 8675, ready to taxi. Empire Air 8675, runway 10 left taxi via Whiskey Alpha, Alpha 5, Kilo, Kilo 1, Kilo, Kilo 1.